Goblins versus Nightstalkers, shooting versus stealthy. How will this battle report pan out? Stay tuned.
Hello there! I like to watch battle reports to get better at games. So I started making short, summarized battle reports that focus on learning points. So welcome to my channel, Newbie Dice. Do like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you enjoy my videos. Do consider speeding up this video with the YouTube settings to consume this content or other YouTube content in a fraction of the time.
Alright, so this is a very interesting battle report because, well, the whole army of my opponent has stealthy, so which is tough for my goblin shooting list, as well as this particular list packs a lot of healing as well. So let's get to it. This is my list, Goblin Reboot, and the variation with this from the previous list is that instead of two more pop launchers, I downgraded the second more pop launcher into a sharpstick thrower for 60 points, so I freed up 15 points. That allowed me to rejig my hero configuration. Instead of a wizard and a bandit, I switched to two wizards instead. So these are the layout. The first one is with an Inspiring Talisman and Alchemist Curse 2, while the second one is Conjuring Staff with Bane Chant and Hex. So gives me some Bane Chant and Hex shenanigans. So with that, 18 units, 11 of them score 24 unit strength. So my opponent is playing Nightstalkers. This is before the 2023 update. Okay, Scarecrows, 2 hordes of them, Bloodworms, Reapers, Phantoms, Butchers, and here 2 Planar Apparitions. They have heal 7 each, so that packs a lot of healing, and they have Hex also, or rather Mind Fog, not Hex, at a height 5 chassis, so it's very easy to hit my targets at the back. Okay, and I think Mind Fog is 36 inch if I'm not wrong. It's very long range. Okay, so it's very difficult for me to hide. Mind Screech, Shadowhawk, Horror with Vicious Melee, Infantry Aura with Bane Chant Conjurer Staff. Okay, Asinishra, Butcher Flash Ripper, and Void Lurker. So 14 units and 12 of them score 23 unit strength. So very respectable as well. And I was terrified of Mind Fog because look at my Trombone Nerf 810. Okay, so just with Shattering, it's a 7 to waver. Right, if he's lucky, 9 twice would route it. Okay, and even my Wizards, they are 9-11, so 8 would waver it. So it's quite easy to waver. Okay, so with that, let's move on. I'll do a quick shout out to my local friendly game store. If you're from the Asia Pacific region, do consider checking out Hammer House website for your hobby needs. They carry a wide range of miniatures and hobby supplies, including Mantic, Vallejo, Scale 75, and Green Stuff World products. Okay, so the scenario is also very interesting because it's RAZE. That's the one where you've burn the tokens on the opponent's side of the board, and the center one is it can't be burned. Okay, so you take turns to place the tokens on this line over here and this line. Okay, they are both 6 inches from the center. Okay, and so I place on the opponent's half and he places on my half. I think he won the roll to pick sides, so he picked the bottom. So this is what you call it, Epic Dwarf map, but this map is a little bit skewed because firstly this hill is just off the deployment zone, whereas the second hill is somewhere along the middle. Okay, and for my side there's a lot of things blocking my advance, right, because of this obstacle, this building, okay, this forest is blocking my advance quite a bit. Okay, so and the way RAZE works is because there's a center token that is immovable, and all objectives have this 12-inch radius that you can't deploy another token. So because of that, right, the way we deploy, it's always you can only shove 2 tokens on one half of the board and the other one must be on the other half. So if I split it down the middle, okay, because of this, all right, so this my opponent can only squeeze 2 within one half because there's also a 12-inch between them. Okay, so the third one must always go on the other half of the board. Okay, so sometimes when you play against your opponent, the 2 are on the same half. Okay, and then it's very obvious the battle is over here. Okay, but now that we have deployed, it's on the opposite halves. So I'm trying to defend these 2 tokens while I'm trying to attack these 2 tokens. Of course, there's still one on the opposite side. Okay, so that caused me to split my forces quite, not say very equally, but I devoted a significant amount to this left half over here. Okay, why did I do so? So initially I started and I thought my strategy was to get these two, right? Once you get these two and you get the center, you win. Okay, but as I dropped my units and he dropped his, I noticed that he deployed very lightly, only these 4 units on the left side. Well, with Asinishra can go both ways, right? This is a Mind Screech, by the way. This is a Void Lurker. This is a Butcher Flesh Reaper. Okay, these are Phantoms. Right, these two are the planar apparition, Butchers, Scarecrows, Bloodworms, Shadowhawk, and Reapers, and this is the Horror. Okay, so I noticed it's deployed very lightly on the left, so I've decided to put more. So if you notice the drops that has no numbers, these are after he has dropped everything. Okay, so I've dropped 1, 2, 3, 4 after him. Okay, so 3 of them went on this side to see, okay, I can hold these 2 tokens and while I burn this one. Okay, so we'll review this action plan later on. Okay, we're playing without withdraw. So I don't know who won the initiative, but either ways I went first. Okay, I was very afraid of his Mind Fog, like I mentioned earlier. So all my fragile things, the 2 trombones and the wizards, are deployed behind the forest. So if he went first, he would have difficulty casting Mind Fog into any of these fragile targets. Okay, and I advanced up still behind the forest. The only one is 1 wizard peeking into the forest. Whoops. Because he casted Hex on one of the planar apparitions. Okay, so yep, basically I shuffled up, okay, trying to hold the tokens as well. Don't let him burn it sneakily. And these 2 units are very badly hindered because of the obstacle. Okay, moving along, he pushed upwards, and a few things to take note. This guy never moved, but he didn't take any damage, so my guess is he probably attempted Mind Fog but missed it, is what I would think. Alright, and another thing to take note is over here. Okay, so his Phantoms elected to fly and land here. Why did he do so? Because if he had charged my Rebel, okay, I could do a double charge, okay, because with the Phantoms here, my Rebel would realign somewhere along here. Okay, and my Slasher could easily come in, maybe just a slight pivot to get in. Okay, maybe just a slight pivot like this to get in. Okay, so now that he places his Phantom off center against my Rebel, okay, if I were to try to counter charge, my Rebel will be somewhere here. Okay, and for my Slasher to go in, it needs to pivot past the front edge of this Rebel, right? And what happens is he will knock into the edge of the table first. Okay, so I couldn't countercharge by him landing this way. Alright, so let's see. Over on the right side, nothing much, right? Advance, everything just pushed upwards. Okay, here, lightning bolt onto Grony's Snark, took 2 damage. Okay, so what did I do in return? Let's look at the left side first. So instead of double charging, my Rebel Horde sidestepped so that the Slasher could charge in. Okay, I was comfortable with this charge because so with the Phantoms wounded, right, lost its nimble. Okay, and it couldn't double charge. Let's see, it probably couldn't double charge with the Void Lurker. Couldn't fit because of the edge of the table. Okay, if I were to impose this and this on this side, yep, couldn't fit for sure. Okay, so he could only double charge with the Butcher Flesh Reaper, which I'm quite confident I would survive. Okay, and even if he backed up this unit, then the Butcher couldn't go in, and then the Void Lurker would go in alone, which is not a good proposition for him as well. Okay, and the Rebel is behind the hill, so it's not like the Butcher can chaff up the Rebel, and the Rebel would get a flank on the Void Lurker. Okay, My Grony did not charge in earlier because if I don't kill even if I kill, the Void Lurker might easily be able to kill it and overrun, and you get two combats, which is a losing trade for me. Okay, so over here, my Trombone is trying to shuffle around this cluster over here because of the forest, still trying to hide behind the forest while having options for the next turn. Okay, and these 4 things shot, probably maybe 3, because maybe I hexed again. But nonetheless, I shot into the Shadowhawk, only dealing 4 damage. Okay, this Slasher shot at this Scarecrows, 4 damage, and this King on Chariot blocked up the Bloodworms because I don't want it to charge my Rebel Horde. Okay, so I was quite confident I can survive a Rebel Horde and hindered Scarecrows. Okay, so yeah, this Slasher there's a bit of bad placement on my end. I placed it with the thought that when the Scarecrows charged in, I would be able to double charge the Scarecrows. And I thought by pivoting so much is enough, but it's not enough. Actually, I need to pivot a little bit more. Okay, I'll show you why later on. Okay, so with that, let's go forward. Alright, let's start from over here. So the Rebel Horde being charged by the Scarecrows. Okay, so if I were to try to double charge, the Rebel Horde would slide somewhere around here. Okay, and if you notice, the Slasher would still bump into the back edge of the Rebel Horde, so it needs to tilt out further, and by tilting out further, you just miss the Scarecrows completely. So the Slasher just needed to have tilted a little bit more, and that would have been able to charge the Scarecrow Horde. So that very bad mistake on my part. Okay, so the Bloodworms deleted the King on Chariot, double charge into here, as expected, dealt some damage, but I held. Okay, and yeah, so there's another problem over here. I'll explain later on. Okay, so let's look at the left side. Now the Void Lurker flew over everything and face down on my Sharpness Mincers. This is a big problem for me. Okay, because it is now facing charges from these 2 sides. Okay, the Butchers as well as the Void Lurker. If they both get to charge the Mincers, I'll be dead for sure. Okay, Asanishra flew up. It's a very fighty flying character, and now it's looking at the Trombones and the 2 Wizards, so lots of juicy targets for it to charge at as well. So things are getting a little bit tough for me because once again I'm a little bit too spread out, so that's why the Asanishra can easily find somewhere to land where I have nothing like in front of it to charge. Okay, that's probably why, right? If my formation was more compact, you wouldn't be able to find a landing spot so easily. Okay, so what about this? Okay, so the Butcher Flash Reaper. So basically this one charged up to block the Slasher while this one stood in front of the Rebel to block it, right? Because the Rebel is not very fighty, he might survive it. Okay, but I did position this Rebel to flank from the forest, so he's still hitting on 6s, right? So I'm only expecting 8 hits even from the flank, and 4 wounds, not too shabby. 4 wounds each, right? Okay, so so I have 2 traffic jams over here, and that's one of the issues with Rebel, is the Rebel can soak up a lot of charges, but it will struggle to position itself for a second layer charge. I think experience definitely helps with this, but sometimes each game's situation is different, right? Like for this case, because I was so afraid of the Mind Fog, I was hidden behind the forest. That caused my formation to be very different from previous games. Okay, so these trolls want to charge the Scarecrows, so I thought I can double charge into the Scarecrows, have a decent chance of killing it. Okay, but the Trombone is in the way, so the Trombone had to dodge out of the way first, and so it has to go backwards because it couldn't clear the trolls by going forwards. And that is terrible too, because then if I'm going backwards, I'm not shooting at anything, right? Okay, that's the trouble. Okay, And yep, over here the mistake on the right side costing me. So let's see over here. So because I can't double charge, my rebel just charged the scarecrows again, and the slasher just took some shots at the bloodworms. So the bloodworms took 5 damage. Let's rewind. 5 damage from the king. Hit it back, life leech 2 wounds. Okay, so now I decided to pump some shots into the bloodworms. Okay, so taking it up to 9, and with some probably this shot at it too. Okay, because it's out in the open, so I'm only suffering stealthy. Okay, was hoping to do more, but nonetheless, that's all I have. If the trombones were better positioned, usually the trombones should be shooting on turn 3, right? So if it was better positioned, I would be shooting at this unit. Okay, and that would be 20 shots, 6 hits, and 4 wounds, 4 more wounds at least. Okay, but also it's all running away from Essenishra because I don't know if this is out of 20, and then I spaced out my 2 wizards so that it has a less chance of overrunning into stuff. Okay, and let's see what else. Yep, double charge into the scarecrows over here, not killing it because hindered for the trolls. So the trolls aren't fantastic. They hit on 4s. Hindered, they hit on 5, so only 6 hits and 5 wounds expected. Rebel, 8 hits, 3 wounds, 6 wounds because of defense 3 of the scarecrows. Yep, so not fantastic. And I think I shot Alchemist Curse because it is defense 5, so felt juicy to shoot Alchemist Curse into it. And I probably lightning bolted to not much damage. Okay. Maybe I should have Bane Chanted the Rebel, might have a better chance of killing the scarecrows. Okay. Over on the center, the mincers moved. So what I did was I turned and moved this way because that would take it out of 12 inch from the butchers. Okay. So I think that's the best I could do, keeping out of 12 inches, and the corner of my unit is touching the building over here. But I figured, I can pivot out next round, so it's not too bad. Okay, I can definitely take the Void Lurker in the front. Okay, and over here, charged to kill these units. So I think Slasher plus Groany killed the Flesh Reaper, while the 2 rebels killed the Phantoms, which is expected, right? So it should be on 12 because they should do 4 damage each. So yep, Groany needed to help take out the Flesh Reaper, which I did. Okay, and this rebel overran forwards to burn the token over here. Okay, this rebel turned around and this slasher turned this way. This Groany, because he can face anywhere next turn anyway, I just backed up as much as I can. Okay, so that would allow it to charge as far as possible out towards the center of the board. Okay, so bottom of 3, what did my opponent do over here? So the Void Lurker didn't charge in, it positioned itself again. Okay, and this Mind Screech wind blasted the mincers until it slid right well into the terrain, so it can't do anything, can't charge anything next round, which is terrible. Okay, and now it's going to be sandwiched by these 2 units for sure. The Butcher's made its way up. Okay, over on the right side, Bloodworms in the flank and Rebel in the Shadowhawk in the front killed the Rebel for sure, and the Scarecrows attacked the Trolls in return with Banechan and dealt 9 damage. That's a lot. Okay, and now the Scarecrows charging with the Reapers took out the Rebel. Okay, yep, took out the Rebel. So now my slasher couldn't even kill this. So this was a terrible mistake because let's rewind this, right? If I could have double charged the slasher and the Rebel, and I overran forwards a little bit, both units would be within 3 of this token, and I would burn this token. So at least I could have taken this token if that slasher was positioned correctly. But it's not to be, so this things are going quite terribly for me right now. Okay. So Asanisha charged into the wizard, but with the terrain hindered. I don't know if she has Strider, but only 2 damage and my wizard held. But couldn't cast spells, right? So next round. Oh, look at this blood worms. From 9 wounds down to 0. It will have life leech 2, and so it healed 7. Right, maybe between these 2 planar apparitions. Healed off all the wounds. Okay, so top of 4. Let's look at the right side. So my slasher charged the scarecrows while the wingits sacrificed itself to hold back the reaper for 1 turn. But it was not to be. I couldn't even kill the scarecrows, so that is terrible. Okay, the rest of the shooting went into the bloodworms. Only 5 damage and wavered it with double 6s, I guess. Trolls finally killed the scarecrows, but is now facing down on these. Well, the bloodworms got wavered, thankfully, but the Shadowhawk alone should be able to take it out because it's already on 7 wounds. The Slayer would trigger off the trolls. Okay. So next, wizards just ran away, and the mincers turn around to receive a front charge from the butchers. Okay, while I charged Grony flying into the Void Lurker, hoping to get a lucky waiver. Okay, I didn't get the waiver, but dealt 4 wounds to it, so it still be a rear charge. Okay, the slasher dashed 14 inches over. The rebel turned around and moved 5. This rebel turned around, mainly because it couldn't face this way, right? Because of this rebel. Okay, so it's just positioning itself for the coming rounds. And yeah, so here comes the pain. So miraculously, he only charged the 1 Void Lurker into it. It should deal 30 attacks, so it should have 20 hits and 13 wounds. Should have 13 wounds, so should be a double ones, but only dealt 10 and didn't kill it. Okay, but on the other hand, the butcher's charge hindered into the slasher. Right, hitting on 4, hindered should be on 5, should be about 6 hits and 4 wounds, but wow, he dealt 9. And without inspiring, he killed the slasher. And with that kill, right, I have 2 unit strength from these mincers. These mincers are chariots, which are terrible because the regiment is only 2 unit strength, while the butchers is 3, so he burned this token. Alright. So over here, things are dying, right? Asanishra killed off one of the wizards. How did he take so much damage? Did Asanishra have some? Oh well. While Lightning Bolt killed off or wavered the other wizard. Okay, Shadowhawk killed off the trolls expectedly. The bloodworms turn around and face the front. 5 wounds, now back to 0 again. So you can see how much wounds my opponent has healed off. 1 planar apparition charged into the trombone and killed it. Okay, what else? So Reapers killed off this wingit. So top of 5, I did the same thing. Second wingit goes in, delayed the Reapers while I charged the scarecrows. So just keeps repeating. Okay, and luckily these bloodworms are not able to charge the slasher. Okay, things just start running away over here. I killed the Void Lurker in return because it did take some wounds. 4 wounds from my Grony, regenerated down to 3. So Mincers plus Grony killed it off. Facing towards the center. It's already on 10 wounds on 16 nerfs, so any damage would mean a 5 twice to kill, so not difficult at all. Rebel charged into the butchers, but the token is already lost over here. Okay, and Asanishra is within 20, so what's it gonna do? It's gonna charge into the mincers, dealt 2 damage and killed it off. Okay, butchers will be locked in combat with this for a while. This part is just getting cleaned up, right? Okay, and he's making his way to the center token, and I wouldn't be able to grab it at all. Okay, and let's see, top of 6, Slasher charged into the Reapers, did not kill it because it's only on 2 wounds, so Slasher only has 10 attacks. So if I killed it and overran, maybe I would have burned off this token. So even with that, I would have 2, while he would have 1, 2, and he holds the center for 3. So even in the best case scenario here, I would have 2 and he would have 3, but we ended with 3-1, right? We did not play the bottom of 6 because the game is lost anyway. So let's look at some learning points. Yeah, so firstly, stealth plus healing is very good against shooting. Okay, secondly, playing RAZE where double tokens are on the opposite halves. So I've talked to Adam Ballard about how to play such a situation, and after discussing what he say makes a lot of sense. I'm a slower army because I'm a stay back and shoot kind of army, or rather just shuffle up and shoot. I don't want to be charging into the enemy. So I should be trying to hold my double tokens. So I just burn the one that's on the opposite side and try to hold the center. Okay. So if I rewind back to deployment, okay, if I were to be heavily deployed on this side, okay, so most of my stuff comes over here. Okay, so my job is to hold these 2 and I'll burn 1. Right, and he will be able to burn 1 on this side, right? So if we burn 1 each, the battle will be for the center. Okay, so if I deploy more heavily skewed on this side, maybe I could use this forest to my advantage, right? So I just hide my stuff all around here. Okay, and then I could play on this half. So that would probably be better instead of having this big hole here, and that's exactly where Asinishra landed and terrorized my backfield. Okay, so that is the first part. Okay, so the slower army will hold the doubles token side, and then you burn the one on the opposite end of your half, and then you try to hold the center. Okay, so with those rebels hordes, right, they're great at absorbing charges, but you really need to layer your second line properly so that it can slide and allow the second wave to charge. So I had 2 mistakes with the first rebel horde on the right side not allowing the slasher, and then the trolls needing to get in and the trombones need to get out of the way, couldn't shoot. And even on the left, even when I placed it correctly, instead of charging, he just flew his phantoms in a way that I couldn't double charge. Alright, so I was terrified of Mindfog the whole game, and the Planet Apparition has both heal and Mindfog. But hey, he can only cast 1 at a time, right? So it's important to take note of that, because when he's busy, when I dealt some damage to his Bloodworms, he will be busy healing rather than trying to Mindfog. Because even if you're Mindfogging a fresh trombone, right, 7 to waver it is about 50% chance. And if you roll too high, you hit the route and then you roll again. So you have the chances of wavering is decent, but his heal is to heal wounds is a bit more guaranteed results rather than to prod to fish for a lucky waver or even a route. So he would probably be healing in the mid game, so I shouldn't be that afraid of Mindfog then. Alright, on the other hand, Asinishra is wrecking face in the back lines. Okay, my opponent took his time to position his Void Lurker to get maximum value. He only charged at the bottom of 4 on the second half of the game, but it did rolled badly and didn't kill the mincers, definitely. Okay, and this is talking about my Grony Snark even charging the Void Lurker in the flank, right? It doesn't stop him from rear charging my mincers because it could still move forwards, right? Okay, I don't get double attacks because I'm an individual, right? And he's still able to charge at things. He lost Fly, Thunderous Charge, and Nimble, but he's still speed 10 with 1 pivot, and with that he could easily hit my mincers. Okay, and this Wind Blast can be a tricky fellow, right? So Wind Blast and to a lesser extent Enthrall, right? They are potentially very powerful spells because they move your units on their turn, right? So it changes the state of your units on their turn and on their terms. So that's why Wind Blast is quite costed quite expensively, because the potential to do something great is very high, but the chances doesn't come very often, I would say. Okay, so but for Nightstalkers, no problem. They can get Wind Blast for free, because you take Mind Screech for the Lightning Bolt, he gets Wind Blast 6 anyway. Alright, you take Nightmares for the fighting, they get Wind Blast anyway. So Nightstalkers have a lot of free Wind Blast. With that, I hope you enjoyed this battle. There's quite a lot of things to learn, and yeah, so just a shout out to my patrons before I end this. 1 Peep Anonymous, 2 Peep Luke Schaefer, and 4 Peep Alessandro Serpe. So if you enjoyed this video, do watch another video. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that jazz. Leave a comment. What do you think about this battle? And yeah, leave a review on Newbie Dice Podcast. I do have a podcast now. And if you'd like to support my mission of bringing educational battle report videos to help us improve our games, do support me on Patreon if you do so have the extra cash. So with that, I thank you for watching this battle report, and I'll see you in the next one.